as well. We welcome you to this briefing. I'm joined today by Director Patrick Sheehan from Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, General Ross from the Tennessee National Guard, Colonel Perry from Tennessee Highway Patrol, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions from all of these, but these men are representing what's happening on the ground all across our state right now. There has been a tremendous amount of activity from one end of the state to the other, especially in West Tennessee. Tornadoes, hail, road closures, flooding, rescues, and that happened all across the state yesterday, and all of these organizations were a part of that, as well as nonprofits, churches, the Red Cross. Tennesseans helping their neighbors. It's what Tennesseans do when Tennesseans face trouble, and we saw that happen yesterday. So there has been a great deal of storm activity and damage, and yet there is more to come. I'll speak a little bit about what we saw yesterday. I visited Selmer, and we drove from Nashville to McNairy County. So we saw extensive flooding. We saw horrific damage in Selmer, as most folks have seen pictures of that. But there's loss of life, loss of livelihoods, terrific heartache when you look across that community. But again, it's also been very hopeful to see the way not only our professionals have stepped in, local law enforcement, emergency management crews, National Guard, Highway Patrol, TDOT, neighbors. We've seen it all come together yesterday. Now we are concerned about what's to come. This morning I took a ride with some of the TDOT help trucks that are out there. They've had 300 help incidents in the last 24 hours to assist people that are stranded on the road or in floodwaters. There have been 5,500 man-hours put in by TDOT crews over the last 24 hours. So there's a real response and a real readiness out there as well. We declared, because we knew this storm was coming, we requested an emergency declaration from the federal government. And I want to thank President Trump because he swiftly responded to our request, and we got that emergency declaration, which allows the beginnings of relief to come from federal government to our state. So we're grateful for that. But we remain in a weather alert. There is a pause right now, as everyone's aware, but we know that the threats are very real for the afternoon, throughout tomorrow, into Sunday. We do not know. It's just like any kind of weather event. We do not know exactly what that's going to look like, but we know the threats are real, and so we want people to continue to be prepared for that. I'm going to turn it over to Director Sheehan, who will also let the other folks speak for just a minute or two, and then we'll open it up for questions. Director?
Thank you, Governor. So what's happened so far? Last night's activity, thankfully the weather calmed down a little bit around midnight. For most of the state, though some areas continue to have heavy rainfall overnight. Over the last 2 days, widespread rainfall of 4 to 6 inches occurred across much of West and Middle Tennessee, with some areas receiving up to 8 inches. What's forecast to happen, the governor talked about, we're going to have a little bit of a lull today, though in West Tennessee there's still some risk of severe storms spotty along areas that have already received a lot of rainfall. So don't get lulled into a sense of that you can put your guard down or not worry about heavy rainfall happening, because we do know that we're going to continue to get heavy rainfall. And we're going to experience river and aerial flooding. Saturday is forecast to have another series of high impact weather events. The forecast isn't quite as strong or certain as the forecast for the last couple of days, but we do expect that much of Tennessee will experience or be near severe weather, and flooding is almost guaranteed to happen or be worsened from what we're experiencing right now. So heavy rainfall can cause flash flooding. I'm sure anyone that was out and about yesterday saw ponding, areas where the interstate was closed temporarily or other roads and needed to be responded to. So there is a high risk of really heavy, very localized rainfall in some areas. Damaging winds are the main concern as far as the storms go on Saturday. And with wet ground, too, people should just pay attention to trees. So Storms are expected to persist throughout the day on Saturday in the early morning Sunday before the system finishes moving across the state. So those strongest storms, again, are forecast to be Saturday afternoon into evening and for west and middle Tennessee. The forecast continues to be uncertain and highly dependent on where the frontal boundaries end up setting up, and we'll continue to update you as we learn more about that. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency continues to work with local officials to respond to requests. We have many different types of response teams that are out there right now working and standing up, and of course we continue to work with the National Guard, who has put a lot of manpower out there, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol, who's in these communities every day. Life safety missions continue to be a top priority, and we continue to posture in case we need to do more rescue operations. So we ask well-intended people not to self-deploy into an area. There are lots of opportunities to help. There will be lots of opportunities to help. We ask that you please work with a nonprofit organization, the Tennessee Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, or work with a community-based organization. For survivors, for those that have been impacted by storms, after a severe weather event, make sure that you're safe first, and then document everything you can. Take pictures, write notes about what you've lost and how you've lost it, and report damage to your insurance adjuster, hopefully you have insurance, and to your local emergency management agency. The National Weather Service offices are also interested in damages, so they can go and do their surveys. We opened the crisis cleanup hotline so survivors can also access help cleaning their homes after the severe weather, and they can access that by calling 615-488-1875. Donations and volunteer opportunities, again, there'll be lots of opportunities to help. So in a disaster, help's always needed, and recovery for these communities is always appreciative of having that kind of help. So it's only through generous contributions of time and money that people can recover. But immediately following a disaster, there's an impetus to just send stuff. We ask that you work with and pay attention to what the communities are asking for before sending resources. And when they're ready for help, they will make sure that we know, and we'll broadcast that message and amplify it as much as we can. So to volunteer, we ask that you check opportunities from the Tennessee Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. That's Tennessee VOAD. You can find information on that on TEMA's webpage. And also, if you'd like to make a monetary donation, the Community Foundation of West Tennessee has established a donation fund where they'll help survivors. We'll continue to update you on the situation as it unfolds, and we continue to be at 5 weather-related fatalities confirmed. We're certain there are going to be more. Our process is deliberate, but that's where we are now. And for us, to stay up to date, you can check TEMA's webpage, tn.gov/TEMA. I'm going to turn it over to Major General Warner Ross, who will update on what the National Guard is doing now.
Thank you, Patrick. So on behalf of the Tennessee National Guard, first, our hearts go out to all those impacted down in West Tennessee and across the state. Our soldiers and airmen are in every zip code across the state, so when these events happen, just like they did last fall with Helene, and unfortunately how they have in the past month and definitely this week, we have people. These are our soldiers and airmen as well, but they're also our families and our friends, the churches, the communities that we live in. So fortunately, we have great leadership here with Governor Lee in the state, and he authorized us earlier this week to go ahead and start preparing. So we notified our units and started assembling those capabilities out in the west because that's where we saw that the storms were going to hit. And we continue to be there. Currently, we have teams of search and rescue, high water rescue vehicles, boat teams, rotary hoist assets, all positioned to respond to West Tennessee. We have additional capabilities, sandbagging machines, things of that nature that we can respond and help our neighbors out. By pre-positioning and posturing ourselves early, that helps us to respond the quickest when we're called. We work with TEMA and a lot of federal, state partners, local partners as well, and we're prepared to support their needs when they call for us in their time of need. So our friends and soldiers can count on us to be there. Our soldiers and airmen are ready to help those friends and families. Our teams are fully equipped to train and handle the conditions and are committed to working alongside our state and local partners. We'll continue to monitor the situation, and we stand ready right now if TEMA and any of our partners call on us. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Colonel Perry from the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Good morning. So I want to echo General Ross's statements. You know, the men and women of the Tennessee Highway Patrol are, you know, certainly are feeling the pain. We are from these communities that get affected, so it's very personal to us. We had troopers, thanks to TEMA and in advance warning of this storm coming through and the likelihood that it was going to strike. We had troopers across the state, certainly, but in West Tennessee, ready to respond, and we sent all available resources. Troopers responded to nearly 400 calls for service. Our dispatch centers in that area received, you know, over 1,000 phone calls about people in crisis and need, and we responded immediately. It's worth noting that troopers don't wait for the storm to hit. They don't wait for the sirens to stop. They're, you know, the tornado sirens. They're responding. They're working as we're following the weather reports and where impacts are happening, whether it's in Dyer County or Obion, and we are moving assets, resources to those areas. So we were able to respond immediately. But the efforts that I saw from yesterday, the destruction was terrible, but probably could have been so much worse. The advance notification, the preparation by everybody involved was tremendous. Troopers will not leave West Tennessee in these affected areas. Same with Hurricane Helene in East Tennessee. We still have units that are just there to help the communities put back together, get moving in the right direction. I'll say this, troopers are going to be holding roadblocks, not allowing people into affected areas. Be mindful as rivers and lakes continue to flood. Areas are going to get worse. The best thing I can remind everybody to do is if you don't have a reason to be out and driving, and certainly in the affected areas, don't. You can see pictures and things like that, you know, online on TV. I'll say it again. While the tornado sirens were going off, the troopers rolled in, ready to protect the people of West Tennessee. We're not going to leave our communities until the job is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Perry, and thank you, each one of you. I think what you see here is a clear statement that folks are here to help, and we are here to prepare, and we are here to make sure that when there is an incident, then there's a quick response. Before I answer questions, I will say one of the most important things I heard here today was that yesterday, while there was great devastation and certainly there was loss of life, the advance warning and the heeding of that warning, the response from the folks in those communities to take cover, to find shelter, to listen to look for and listen to the professionals saved a lot of lives, we believe. So let's make sure we do that over the next 48 hours. Happy to take questions. Anybody got any?
I have one. You know, this being 3 out of 4 day event, how are we ensuring that that the crews are going to be fresh to make sure that they give the best possible efforts to help people out during this flooding?
I'll speak to briefly or sort of broadly to that, and either any of you that want to respond. I was with TDOT crews this morning, and I met with the crews that were coming onto shift and going off of shift, and I actually asked them the question about when we're in, and I rode on a truck for an hour to a response truck and a help truck, just to talk to those that are out there and see what it's like. We talked about rotating shifts and how it is that you remain fresh, and how it is that we make sure that we cycle in personnel so that no one has to work extensive hours. And while there are, 5,500 man hours been put in, there's a clear understanding of how those man hours should be rotated to make sure people are fresh. Anybody want to add to other crews in that response?
Well, I think some of it is people are going to be tired. All right, it's a 96 or greater hour event. And so the leaders in state government, what we do is we make sure that people are getting downtime and time to rest. We have shifts that are there. So we have structures in place to be able to sustain the campaign of responding to and coordinating and supporting communities in these disasters. So, but people are going to be tired. It's hard work. There's a lot to pay attention to, and that's just part of it. But we put standards in place to make sure that our people are safe and protected and can get the rest that they need to be able to perform well when called on.
More questions?
Governor, have you been able to speak to any of the families that have been impacted by loss of life?
I have. I was, well, I haven't, I didn't actually ask family members if they had someone that was lost to life, but I was in McNairy County yesterday walking through really the rubble of neighborhoods with homeowners that were walking through their rubble and trying to pick through the pieces. It's it's heartbreaking to watch. It's hard to take in. I did talk to those folks that we ran into there, and asked them were they home, who was home in their family. Talked to one lady who was home with her children in this lower floor of the apartment. There was loss of life in that apartment. Talked to a man there whose wife, sort of lived through this event. She was hurt, hospitalized, had surgery. He was not home at the time, but hearing the stories of people and their survival, it's amazing. The most amazing part about that was the number of people that I talked to that knew the storm was coming and left their homes to go to the shelter. There were hundreds of people in the courthouse the night of these storms, and it's no doubt that many of those lives were saved because they responded to the warnings. Any other question? All right, thank you all for the briefing, for being at the briefing.